The bell at Millbrook High that afternoon sounded more like a warning shot than a dismissal. You know what I mean? Students spilled into the halls, chattering about after-school plans, barely dodging each other as they hustled out the doors. Right in the thick of it was Olivia Carter, quiet, creative, 15, always got her sketchbook pressed tight to her chest, hair a crown of wild curls she'd spent years growing out, a piece of her mom she lost too soon. That hair, man, it was her pride, something nobody ever touched, until the day the system came crashing down. She was making her way to the art room, probably hoping to lose herself in charcoal and paint, when suddenly the intercom blared, "Olivia Carter, please report to the principal's office immediately." She felt that icy grip in her stomach because nothing good ever follows those words. When she walked in, she barely had a second to process the sight. Principal Barrett's face pinched with that fake authority, and a pair of clippers set out on his desk like some kind of threat. The guy was infamous for his obsession with control, rules so tight you couldn't breathe, and, let's be honest, he'd been letting his prejudice slip more than once. "Sit down," he barked. Olivia slid into the chair, clutching her sketchbook like a shield. "Did I do something wrong?" she managed. "Yes. Your hair doesn't meet school standards. It's messy, distracting, unprofessional." Barrett spat, like her curls offended him personally. She tried to protest, "But this is just my hair," she said, but he wasn't listening. Without warning, he grabbed the clippers, flicked them on, and before Olivia could even move, the first heavy lock fell. "Stop! You can't do this!" she gasped, but he didn't stop, and the secretary a mess. Finch just stood in the doorway, eyes wide, but she didn't lift a finger to help. When it was over, Olivia was left shivering, hair in clumps on the floor, scalp raw and uneven, feeling more exposed than she ever thought possible. Barrett tossed the clippers aside like he'd just taken out the trash and finally said, "Now you can call your father." Hands shaking, Olivia called. Across town, her dad, Eric Carter, was finishing up a call at a quiet corner cafe, jeans and a windbreaker, sunglasses tossed next to his coffee. The second he heard his daughter's voice, everything else faded. "Dad, he cut my hair, the principal. He wouldn't stop, please come." Eric didn't need more detail, didn't even ask. He just stood up, slipped on his glasses, and drove. When Eric's black SUV rolled up to Millbrook High, the energy in the air changed. Students outside the front steps went silent, some staring, others just knowing something serious was about to go down. Eric strode straight through the lobby, didn't even break stride when the front desk clerk tried to stop him. "I'm here for my daughter," he said, voice so low and steady you could feel in your bones. Down the hallway, Olivia waited in an empty classroom, face streaked with tears, trying to keep her head down, but some kids had already seen. One girl, feeling awkward, handed her a hoodie to help her cover up. When Eric opened the door, he didn't say anything at first, just knelt beside his daughter, cupped her chin, looked over the jagged stubble where her curls had been. His jaw flexed. "Who did this?" Olivia barely whispered, "Principal Barrett." Eric stood up slow, like a storm building, and told her, "Stay here." He didn't even have to raise his voice. You could just feel the force behind every word. Barrett was sitting smug in his office, coffee in hand, flipping through a memo about dress code updates, when Eric burst in and shut the door behind him. "Mr. Carter," Barrett tried to recover, "your daughter violated school policy. I was simply enforcing the rules." Eric didn't budge, just stared right through him. "You took clippers to a child's head. You assaulted my daughter." Barrett straightened, voice shaking a bit. Her appearance was disruptive. "I've taught martial arts to Marines," Eric cut in. "I've been in war zones quieter than this office, and I know a coward when I see one." Barrett's face blanched. "You violated her rights, traumatized her. Now you're going to face the consequences." By now, staff were gathering outside, sensing the showdown. Whispers were flying. Someone finally called the superintendent, and district lawyers showed up minutes later. Eric didn't back down. "I'm pressing charges," he told the superintendent. "Not just for Olivia. I've seen the reviews. I've seen the complaints. This isn't an isolated thing." The superintendent, realizing the magnitude, nodded. "We'll investigate immediately." "No," Eric replied. "You'll remove him today. Investigate after." And right there, Principal Barrett was escorted out of Millbrook High, students and teachers lining the halls, some in shock, some quietly cheering. But the fight wasn't over. That night, a video started going viral. A former student posted a clip of Eric walking Olivia out, his arm around her, her head high. The caption, "She walked in alone. She left with a fighter in justice." By morning, Olivia's story was everywhere, hashtags trending, media calling, support flooding in from all corners. But Eric refused to let it be about him. He called a press conference, standing outside the school with Olivia by his side, her fresh buzz cut a badge of honor. "This isn't just about my daughter," Eric said. "It's about every kid whose trust is betrayed in these walls. Every parent who sends their child here and expects them to be protected, not punished." The crowd, parents, students, even some teachers nodded and wiped their eyes. If you think this is just how the system works, you don't know me. Back inside, staff watched the live stream, some shaken, some guilty. A janitor, old Mr. Collins, whispered, "He's right." We all knew Barrett was a tyrant. Barrett, meanwhile, hid at home, chased by news crews, his career in ruins. Olivia spoke for herself, too, on talk shows. She said, "It's not about me. Kids get bullied by grown-ups hiding behind the rules. I want it to stop for everyone." Her courage caught fire. Former students spoke up. "He did the same thing to my sister, but we were too scared to say anything." Lawsuits started rolling in. Eric refused every settlement. "This isn't about money. We're not settling. We're setting a precedent." The real twist came when a federal education committee called Eric and Olivia to testify. Suddenly, it wasn't just Millbrook's problem. Eric faced lawmakers, voice unwavering. "You don't teach kids to conform by humiliating them. You teach with empathy and respect. If you break their spirit, you fail as an educator." Olivia, clear-eyed and strong, said, "You're supposed to protect us. That's all I wanted." Her words echoed across the country. Principal Barrett? License suspended, career over. But Eric and Olivia turned the pain into purpose, founding the Olivia Carter Project, an organization to fight for students' rights, provide legal help, and advocate for school policies that protect, not punish. The motto? Dignity before discipline. On Olivia's first day back, Millbrook felt different. Students lined the hallways, soft applause following her. Teachers who'd been silent now nodded with respect. A little freshman held up a homemade sign. "Thank you for giving us a voice, Olivia." But she wasn't back for revenge. She came back to reclaim her space. Her locker, once vandalized with cruel jokes, had been painted over by classmates, covered with messages of unity and strength. Then came the next shock. Eric's old friend, legendary civil rights lawyer Malcolm Grant, flew in unannounced and demanded a full review of discipline records. Turns out, years of harsh penalties and biased punishments have been swept under the rug. Malcolm said at the town hall, "Sometimes you need a loud voice, but it only works if it's for the voiceless." Policy changes came fast. Race-based grooming rules were banned. Humiliation as punishment outlawed. A student-led oversight committee formed, and Olivia unanimously was its first chair. She and Eric and Malcolm unveiled a plaque at the school's front doors. "To those who stood tall when told to bow. Dignity before discipline." But Olivia's story didn't end there. 2 months later, she was invited to speak at the UN Youth Assembly in New York. She stood on stage and said, "They shaved my head but didn't take my voice. They thought silence was control, but my voice only got louder. We don't need to change who we are. The world needs to change how it sees us." Standing ovation. Back home, Eric and Malcolm watched the broadcast, Malcolm smiling. "That's one hell of a young woman." Eric just nodded. "She's got your calm, my fire. Some battles we fight with fists," Malcolm said, "but the real ones we fight with truth." In the months that followed, the foundation grew, students found courage, parents spoke out, and Olivia's hair, every curl grew back stronger than ever. Now let me ask you, do you think rules should ever come before dignity? Have you ever stood up to power for what's right, even when it cost you? Drop a comment below. Let's talk. Is it time schools everywhere finally put students' humanity first?